Recently, I shared how to work the moss stitch in the round and had some requests on how to do a rectangle version. So today I'm going to be sharing how to do that, along with tips on how to omit the jogging lines and that twisting that can often happen when you're working continuously in the round. For this sample, I'm using a weight 4 cotton yarn with a 4mm hook. And this is going to result in a fairly tight stitch. So if you want it to be a little bit softer, I would recommend that you use a hook that is at least 1 to 2 sizes bigger. If your yarn requires a 4mm hook, then I would recommend something like a 5 or 6. To begin your chain, you want to use a multiple of 2, or in other words, an even number. If you want to learn more about how to come up with that initial chain, check the end of the video where I share some tips on how to calculate that. But for this rectangle, I'm going to start with 24 chains, adding a slip knot to my hook. Now working into the 4th chain from the hook, 1, 2, 3, 4, add a single crochet. This is going to form the first half of your first corner. And now we're going to start with the standard moss stitch sequence. We're going to chain 1, skip 1, and work a single crochet into the next stitch. Chain 1, skip 1, work into the next stitch. Chain 1, skip 1, work into the next stitch. And just continue doing this all the way down your chain. We're coming down to the end. You should have 2 remaining chains. Don't forget to do that last chain 1. Add your single crochet to that last chain. And now we're going to form the first corner. So we've just done our single crochet, chain 2, going back into the same space, add a single crochet, chain 2, now add 1 more single crochet into the same space. So your corner should look like this: single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. Now we're going to go along the other side, and we're doing the same sequence the other side, but it's a little bit easier to see because we're going to skip 1, and then we're working into the same area that we did the previous single crochet on the other side. So I've done my chain 1, skipped 1, and now I'm just working into the same space with that other single crochet. Chain 1, skip 1, single crochet. Really easy to see. Just continue doing this all the way down. Chain 1. We've gone all the way around and we're coming back to the beginning. So essentially we've done half of that corner already. So we're just going to finish it. So we're going to go into that space with a single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. Remember when we first started, we did a single crochet into the 4th chain from the hook, and that's where we created the other side of this corner. Now technically you could add a slip stitch here to complete the round, but we're not going to do that. We're going to get straight into round 2. This is our first chain 2 space of the new round, so we're going to create our first corner for round 2. So create a single crochet. I recommend that you add a stitch marker here just to keep on track with this. It's very easy to lose that stitch, especially when you're learning how to do this. Now we're going to complete our corner by doing a chain 2, and into the same space add a single crochet. Chain 1. And now we're just going to continue on with the same sequence. We've done our chain 1. Now we're doing a single crochet into the previous chain 1 space. Chain 1, working into the next space, single crochet. Chain 1, skipping over to the space. Continue this all the way across. We've come over to our corner, and if you notice here we have 2 corners to work into, 1 and 2. These are our chain 2 spaces. We're just going to create another corner. So working into that corner, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. We're continuing on with the same sequence now, so chain 1, and now we're over to our next corner. So it's single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, all in the same chain 2 space. Chain 1. Now continuing on, we're going to skip a stitch and work into that chain 1 space with a single crochet. Chain 1, skip 1, single crochet into the chain space. Continue all the way across. Chain 1. And now we're back to our corner, and we need to do the other side here. So we're doing a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. Continuing on with the sequence, chain 1. So we've come to the end of the round. Here's our stitch marker to let us know that we're done. So at this point we can slip stitch here and get ready for round 3. But along with this, I also want to start in a corner because this is what's going to help us get rid of that jagged or jogged line that you can get if you continue working in the side. If we're in the corner, it's going to be virtually invisible to the eye to see when you do your color changes or when you start another round. So I'm going to slip stitch into that first single crochet. So round 2 is completed, and now we're going to begin round 3. And to do that, I'm going to add a single crochet into that very first corner. What I'd recommend you do here is add a stitch marker to help us remember where this corner is and where we've done our first single crochet, because now we're going to turn our work and start working in the opposite direction. This is what's going to omit your rectangle from kind of skewing on you. Our stitches naturally lean to the right if we're right-handed or left if we're left-handed. So if you work continuously on the same side, the shape of your rectangle is going to start turning on you or skewing. If you flip your work after every round, it's going to stop that from happening, keep everything balanced. You're going to have a beautifully perfect rectangle. So we've done our first single crochet for that corner, and now we're going to turn and continue on with the sequence. So here's our corner that we're going to come back to, and that's a single crochet already in that corner. So now we're going to chain 1, and as you can see, we have a space here in the middle to continue on with our sequence. So add a single crochet, chain 1, and now we're back to a corner. So we're doing single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. And now we're going to continue on with the regular sequence, chain 1, skip 1, single crochet into the chain space. Chain 1, skip 1, work a single crochet into the chain space. Continue all the way across. Coming to our first of 2 corners here. So we're doing a single, chain 2, single, all in the same space to create our corner. Chain 1, work a single into the space. Chain 1, back to another corner. So a single, chain 2, and single. Going back down the other side, chain 1, skip 1, single into the chain 1 space. Okay, and we're back to the very first corner, and remember we already did a single crochet in there. So all we need to do here is add our single crochet and then a chain 2 to complete it, right? But instead of doing a chain 2, and you can absolutely do that if you want to complete this round, I would recommend instead though to do a half double crochet into that very first single to complete that round. And the reason I suggest that is because it puts you into the middle of that corner, which we want because we're going to turn again to start round 4. I'd recommend that you do a chain 1 here, not counting as a stitch, just to help you turn your work and give yourself some wiggle room. And now add a single crochet into the corner. And I'd recommend also add that stitch marker to help you remember where your corner is, so it's easy to finish that round. And now just continue on as normal with this sequence. Chain 1, skip 1, single crochet. Corner. Chain 1. You'll notice here on the sides that it's always going to go up incrementally with those chain spaces. Before we only had 1 chain space to work into, now we have 2. And then the round after that will be 3, then 4, and so on. We're at our final corner. Remember, we already did a single crochet here, so we're just doing a single. You can chain 2 if you like, but I'm going to do a half double, working into that very first single in there to complete the round. To change color is super easy to do. If you want, you can fasten off and reattach in another corner. Just make sure you turn your work as you do it. Or you can do this. You can remove the hook. Give yourself a nice loop of yarn here so you don't lose that stitch. Take your hook and go into the 3 bands of yarn here that created your half double crochet. Bring in your new color. And remember, we were doing a chain 1 just to help us turn, to give us a little bit of wiggle room. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, just a chain. And now we can stop using this yarn, so I'm just going to pull and get rid of it. And now I'm going to turn and continue with the new round. Remember, we're just doing a single crochet into that corner. I'll go ahead and add a stitch marker to help me remember when I come to it. If you'd like to learn more about how to do this color change with different stitches and different scenarios, I'll go ahead and add a link here so you can check that out, as well as at the end of this video. And then just continue on with your sequence. And that's all there is to it. You're just going to continue round after round until you complete your project. If you have a specific measurement that you're wanting to work towards, and so you're trying to figure out how many chains do you need for that certain project, there is a way to figure it out. I'm going to add a link in the description box below the video to the formula that I first discovered that really helped me out with this. But to keep it really general here, we're going to say that a single crochet is approximately 1 centimeter. The reason I'm doing it in centimeters is because 1 centimeter is a lot easier for me to do math-wise than a half inch. So basically you want to take the dimensions of your project and subtract the width from the length. So for example, let's say you want to do a 4 by 5 foot blanket. In inches, that's 52 by 60, and in centimeters, that's 132 by 152 centimeters. So all we need to do is take the width and subtract it from the length. So that's 152 minus 132. And that number is 20. And that's how many chains you need to create a 4 by 5 foot blanket. Now, one thing you'll notice is I started with a chain of 24 for the sample, and that's because I added those extra 4 for the turning chain, but that's definitely not necessary to do. It's just going to be slightly smaller if you don't take that into account. One more thing to remember as you're figuring out that beginning chain, if you come up with an odd number, just remember to round it up to your nearest even number. So for example, here with this little baby blanket, I came up with 15 chains, and so I needed to round that up to 16. I also thought it might be a good idea to add 4 more for that turning chain, but I'm really not sure if it's that necessary. But either way, we're only talking about 4 stitches, so I think we're okay there. If you enjoyed the video, a like is always appreciated. If you'd like to learn more about the color changing technique that you saw in this video, you can find it here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.